All right. We've got Michael on the line from last time. Michael Nager. How do you do?
Not too bad. I mean, I could tell you the truth, but it'll just bore you and make you feel sad. And you know, why should I do that?
That's true.
We've got the rest of the video for that. You know, don't ruin it in the first few seconds.
Mm-hmm. So we have a question. Some have said that why run dual X3D CCD with Ryzen? It would be a waste of time. You say you can prove they are wrong. Is this regarding what chip?
Well, this is for the new basically confirmed rumor that there's going to be a 9950 X3D2, which instead of having one X3D chip and one normal chip, it's actually going to have two X3D chips. And I've heard as recently as day before yesterday, Red Gaming Tech said, "Well, I can't really see what the point of that is." And I'm here to actually show you what the point of it is. And the thing is, people can talk about it a lot, but I can actually show you. And by showing you, or I've only got a 9800 X3D, but it shows the point that I'm trying to make. And so we'll start off, if you got my screen here, with Ryzen Master.
I can't see Ryzen Master. I can see this
Yeah,
blue ocean thing.
Yeah, I'm just loading Ryzen Master.
There we go.
So here is Ryzen Master running my 9800 X3D that I've configured in the BIOS. And as you can see, it's running maximum CPU speed of 5.475. And that 5.475 is Cinebench R23 10 minutes stable. And if I can show you what that looks like, the result in Cinebench R23. Just quickly before and then I'm going to have to do a reboot, and then I'll show you exactly what I mean, why it isn't a waste of time. So we'll go here to CPU configured. As you can see, I do quite a lot of testing at different levels.
Very good.
Cinebench, 10-minute run, and then Duronaut, which is something I would advise everyone to have. Now I'll just shift this over. Of course, it always opens on the wrong screen. So as you can see, 10-minute run of Cinebench R23 gives me a point score of 24,790.
Wow.
Yep. Now, that is important for what comes next. And so to actually, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reboot and then I'm going to disable SMT.
Okay.
Which would be hyper-threading in Intel parlance. So I'm running straight cores. Now, the reason for straight cores is one core has got 1.5 times the compute power of a thread. At the moment, I'm running 8 cores, 16 threads on my 9800 X3D. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just do a quick reboot, and I'll be right back again in less than a minute.
Okay.
Because I've got a well-behaved system, and then I will show you what happens with Cinebench and how far I can push my 9800 X3D when it's only now at the moment, like I say, 5.47 is the maximum. 5.475 is the maximum. I can run it when it's running 16 threads, but then we'll see how far I can push it when I do the actual single core, the SMT off. So I'll be right back.
Okay. Michael Nager, one of the well-known best tuners in the world, especially for Ryzen. He has done his due diligence. He speaks in facts, not fiction. He has come across with some builds that I've built, and he has tuned it, and nothing but finesse from Michael Nager. Highly recommended.
Oh, okay. So I'm back again,
Welcome back.
and now I'll share my screen again. There you go. Now, just to show you that I am running on 8 cores and 8 threads. So this is with SMT off. Okay, and as you can see, I'm running CPU. I'm running 8 cores, 8 threads. Right now, I on a 9950 X3D2, I would have as many cores as I had threads on a 9800 X3D. Yeah. So what I'll do is, and I've also had this nonsense about, the cross CCD latency and all the rest of it. Now, number one, the X3D cache will take care of a lot of that, but also Ryzen is a lot better behaved than most people give it credit for, and I'll show that because I'm just going to run a quick Cinebench. This will be on a different screen.
Yep.
But what I'm going to do is, because I've got a profile which I had before, so I've done this before, 5575, ran it for 10 minutes. So I'll just apply that quickly. So now, if I go back to home, you can see I'm running at 5575. Now, with Cinebench, Cinebench R23, you don't have to do all the cores, right? You can do it with individual threads. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a custom number of threads, and it's going to be 3 threads. So I'm going to run Cinebench R23 on 3 threads. Now watch what happens. Right, it will use 3 threads. I'll do some bits and pieces on because I've got different things running. But Ryzen is quite good about keeping threads together. Okay, you notice that the 3 threads that are running Cinebench, they're not jumping around.
Yeah.
Right, they're
That's
all
interesting.
staying.
Yeah.
So it's using the 2 best threads, and then it's using another thread. So I can stop that and watch what happens when I do 4 threads. Preferences, and we'll do 4. Okay.
Oh, yep.
See, it's keeping to 4 threads. It's not jumping around. So this is why it's rubbish when they say, "Oh well, like the cross latency," because the game threads will stay where they are.
Yeah, that's
If
cool.
if threads get spawned, then okay, they'll get spawned either on this CCD, or if you had a separate CCD, it would get spawned on the other CCD. But Ryzen is very good about keeping threads where they are. It used to be that with Windows, the way it used to be, it would jump around and it would just go out of its way to kick you in the nuts. Now, what the upshot of that is, so you saw that with the 16 threads, I had 24,600 something, I think it was.
Mm.
So let's see what happens when we do. Oh, that's my guide. CPU config. Yeah. So SMT off. 10-minute run. 55. So this is after 10 minutes running. Cinebench.
Wow.
Now, 17,000 is a lot less, but it's not half. Half would be 12. Now, remember when I said one core equals 1.5 threads?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so if I'm correct in that, then my 8 cores should be more than half, which it is. It's over 12. And 17,000 is about 1.5 times.
Mm.
Right? Now, that's 17,000 on this CCD. If I had another X3D CCD, I would have another 17,500 on the other one.
Mm.
And because I'm gaming doesn't put as much load, except when it comes to doing when you're compiling shaders, that approaches. So I could probably get away with 5.6 gigahertz, or maybe even 5.625 gigahertz, running a game.
Yeah.
And 5.6 gigahertz at 1.5 times the compute power per core versus per thread adds up to a lot of gaming power. Yeah.
Mm.
For your games. And this is why when somebody says, "Oh well, you like don't see the point of it," maybe you don't see the point of it. There's going to be a 6090 somewhere along the line, like next year.
Yeah.
And if you got this CPU, it's not like you buy a 9800 X3D and it's gonna suck for the 6090, or a 3950 X3D. 3950 X3D doesn't outperform a 9800 X3D in gaming, right? So again, if you're buying it for gaming, that would be a waste of money. But getting a 9950 X3D2 with 2 X3D cores, number one, run it SMT with SMT off for gaming, and then with SMT on if you're doing production work.
Yeah.
Where you'll get like a Cinebench of around about, you should get a Cinebench of around about 47,500, which is nothing to sneeze at. So you've got good production, and you're only basically a reboot away from having great gaming performance. So you buy it now, you will have a CPU which will do you for the next and probably the 7090 as well. So not just the 6090, but the 7090 as well. You've got a gaming CPU that will do the job. And you've got a gaming CPU that is actually using cores, like real cores, and it's a lot more cores than Nova Lake's ever going to have. P cores.
Yeah.
The real manly cores, if you get what I mean. The P cores. Yeah, I'll let you work out what the P stands for. And and so this will be a CPU where you will be gaming on it for quite some time. Yeah. And because of the X3D cache, you won't be really stuck when it comes to RAM, right? Because X3D cache. And if you do have it when it crosses from one CCD to the next, then it will essentially, the X3D cache will mask it, will mask that latency. So I don't really see where these people are coming from. And as you can see, if I, yeah. So I can run. So if I run it flat out, so number of threads, custom number of threads, turn that off. And okay, and I'll just bring Cinebench over just to show you that I'm not bullshitting, because that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people, oh, I've got like Geekbench, and who gives a shit about Geekbench? I mean, it's just absolute pits. There's only a couple of times when it really stresses your CPU, and apart from that, it does like it runs your CPU at half speed. Cinebench will actually do the business, and I can run it now just to show. So remember, I'm running at 5.575. So let's run it. So you can see all threads running at 5.81.
This is going to be interesting because you're going to get better temperatures also by turning off the SMT.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, you can see the temp is like 58, 59, right? And 10 degrees equals 100 megahertz with Ryzen, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm at 82 watts. So like with two CCDs, I will have like 160 watts, but it's on two CCDs. So half of my cooler isn't actually doing anything. So I wouldn't expect it to go above 65 degrees.
Yeah.
And as you can see here, it's 15,700 because I've got Discord running, I've got a chat running,
You're
and all the
sharing
rest
the
of it.
video, yeah.
That takes a lot out of it. What I can do is what I like to do. So I can go here to Task Manager. Now this might make it a wee bit crinkly when we're talking, but just to yeah, if I go here to processes and Cinebench, right click, and I can go to details, and I can have Cinebench running at above normal priority. So that should negate most of the interference in the score. But you'll see that Ryzen Master doesn't really react all that well, but you'll see the score at the end of it. And I'm doing it live on screen, so nobody can say, "Oh, that's just cherry picked." It's all photoshopped, and F yourself. But even at that, 15,700, that's still 30,000. That would be on
That's right.
on dual CCD. And again, it's staying below 60 degrees. And let's say 10 degrees Celsius means 100 megahertz would rise. So if you can get it running 10 degrees lower, that equals 100 megahertz more per core performance out of it. And so I'm running now 100 megahertz higher than I was with my threads. And the cores are 1.5 times as much. So I'm running higher clock speed and the threads, and there I've got 16,263. Okay, so that would be 32,000.
Yeah.
Again, if it was clean, like the way I normally do the test is I do them clean. That is, I've got nothing running. I've got no Ryzen Master running, no Discord running in the background, nothing. Just do the test, and then I run it a second time to get the statistics of it. Because that way it's not for bragging rights and it's not for cheating. It's so that if I did the test like almost a year ago, last February with my 9800 X3D, and I wanted to see a couple of weeks ago if it had any degradation. Because I could put the system into the same state it was, I could run the test now, and the results would be directly comparable.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas if I run it when I've got every other piece of junk like HW info running in the back, I can't understand somebody who's when you're doing a benchmark, you run HW info in the back. Seriously, idiots.
You have to
But
isolate the test. Yeah.
you do the test because the benchmark here, the score tells me am I going in the right direction or in the wrong direction, and then I do it a second time and I can see what temperature it's going to, the stats of it. So I don't understand why YouTubers and all the rest of it always, we're doing the test and I've got HW info on, so you've got to take about 3% or 4% or whatever fucking percent into account. I wouldn't need to take that into account if you just turn HW info off and just run the test,
Mm.
and then it'll run the benchmark. You don't need to guess then how much you're losing with it.
You can't teach stupid.
Yeah, well, but duct tape does muffle the sound somewhat. It's like, and and we can take a look at the Ryzen Master result.
Mm.
Because I did then another 10-minute run. So I do one 10-minute run, then I always do a second 10-minute run, and then I take the temperature and the stats towards the end of that second run. And as you can see, towards the end of the second run, running at 5.82 gigahertz or 5.575, you can see it was still 59 degrees. So this was effectively running at 20 minutes. The first score was after 10 minutes run. So the score is always taken after it's run through 10 minutes.
Mm.
So it would be 17, well, call it 17,500.
Yeah.
At under 60 degrees.
Wow.
Now, that temperature won't be going up all that much with a 9950 X3D2 because it's two CCDs. So you've got double the cooling area. And so the other side of my AIO will come into play. So it might be around about 65 degrees.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I don't see why these people say, oh well, won't make really all that much difference. It probably would make no difference if you were stupid enough to run it with SMT on.
Mm.
But for games, you really don't need, most games you can get by on 8 cores, never mind 16.
Yeah. That's right.
Right. So in quite a
we want
few games,
faster
you can,
per core performance. We don't need more threads. Yeah.
well, some games like Cyberpunk does need quite a lot of threads. For instance, and there are other games that do use quite a lot of threads. Space Engineers use quite a lot of threads.
Mm.
But you've also got games where but not 16 threads, right? And when you've got 1.5 times the performance just in the core versus thread, plus the extra in clock speed that you can get out of it. For instance, on my 9800 X3D, if I'm just gaming, I can game at 5.5 gigahertz, which is not a problem. And you can see the single core score. The single core score won't be all that much different because when you're using when you're running Cinebench, you run the single core. Single thread. It actually does use a single core, right?
We'll get a little bit from the clock speed though.
But you'll get quite a lot from the clock speed because I'll compare that to before the 9800 X3D with the 10-minute when I've got SMT running.
I love how you got all the tests. It's not fiction when it comes to you. It's fact. You've got the evidence. You've done the due diligence.
Yeah, you asked me what kind of scenario. I've had people like when I've talked to them said, "Well, you know what happens if you do this and that?" And oh wait, I've tested that. Like that ain't a problem. And so I if somebody can think of a test I haven't done, I'd be very grateful. Not a test like can you run 5 volts through it because that ain't going to happen. Hang on, so no, that's the wrong one. It's this one here, 5.575. See, I had it even at 5.625. Right.
Wow.
Now this would not run 10 minutes, but that was 17,600. That was for a single run. So it will do a single run at 5.625 gigahertz. But we'll go back here to 5475, dimension R23, and CBR23. But my single core, because you've got these people that want the single core. But you can see here, even for the single core, if I put these two side by side, you can see that the single core has gone up by over 20 points as well. So, and that is reflective of the clock speed increase.
Yeah. Very good.
So yeah, this is why the 9950 X3D2 would not be a waste of time to get it if you really want and need that gaming performance, to max out your graphic card.
It's going to be the pinnacle when it comes to our high-end GPUs and maximum frame rate.
And the next generation of GPUs as well.
And the next generation, yeah.
And maybe even the next generation after that. So you're talking about next 4 years, you're good to go with the CPU for gaming. Now, obviously you're going to have the Ryzen, what do you call it? The probably the 11.
10 series, 11 series, 12 cores
11
apparently.
Series. Yeah, and that it's quite. I mean, I quite believe that it will do a single core of 7 gigahertz. Probably multi-core of something like 6.5 gigahertz. But again, that's not X3D.
That's right, yeah.
And I don't know how the X3D is going to be going to work out. If and the 11 series won't be coming out until the earliest the end of next year, possibly even in the year after that. And
yeah, they
2027,
probably...
and then you've got the X3D will probably come out a bit after that, so maybe the middle of 2067. It's 2067. God.
I think just quick,
2027. And you've still got a CPU then with the 9950 X3D2 that you can still sell for a good price.
Yeah, I think Zen 6, they're going to have to hold off due to... If the non-X3D comes out, you're going to have to run with the new memory controller, which would be the, 7,200 megahertz, which would be really expensive because I can't see RAM prices going down within a year's time. We're probably in this RAM bubble for a bit.
Yeah, but the problem you've got with that is you've got you'll only be able to run that on in Gear 2, right? You won't be able to run it 7,000 or 8,000 Gear 1.
Oh.
Now Gear 2 means that the memory controller is running at half the clock speed of the RAM. So if you've got 6,000 RAM, then the clock speed is 3,000. because it's DDR, so data rate. Data rate is the clock speed, so the data rate of 6,000 RAM is 3,000, and your memory controller is running at 3,000. And I've also done the experiment for that, which just to end this all up. So what I did was I completely had my this one here. No, okay. So I had my RAM at JDEC, so no configuration. I had my CPU running at 5.5 gigahertz, and my favorite one for benchmarking is Pi Prime.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, huh? Was that the stock? Just a second. I think I've got the wrong one up here. This was when it was configured. Just a second. So blah, blah. Oh no, okay. So this was the mem timings equal, right? So that's probably uh, I'd need to find it again. Not going to spend 5 minutes. But if you take a look at the memclk 2, and I like using Pi Prime because it's like Cinebench for RAM. It only runs on one thread in real time. So that would be memclock divided by 2, and this would be memclk. So the one here on the right is UCLK equals memclk. So my memory controller is running at the same speed as my RAM, and here is my my memory controller running at half the speed of my RAM. Apart from that, no difference. And as you can see, there's so 4 seconds of difference in running the test, and that is quite a lot. When you get your timings down to this level, 1 second is a hell of a lot. Like I tightened up. The best I've gotten out of this is 155 seconds, and if I really tighten up all the timings, if I go balls to the walls with the timings and don't give a crap about stability, then instead of 155, it will go to 154. So when you get to this range, 4 seconds is a hell of a lot.
Interesting.
And that's a hell of a lot for clock speed to make up for. I've got tests somewhere where I've run it at 6,000, and then my RAM is running at 6,200 MTS, but I've got it 6,000 versus 6,200 MTS on Pi Prime. Not very much of a difference. Not very much of a difference at all. But this here, 160 versus 156, that is a world of difference.
Yeah.
And that is a hell of a lot of difference to try to make up for with clock speed. So essentially, at the same clock speed, when you're running in Gear 2, you're already at a major disadvantage. So how much do you have to punt the clock speed up, the MTS up, to actually get it to a stage where you're beating what you can get out of your 6,000 RAM.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things, especially when you consider the price. Is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't think so. But there again, I don't know what the next memory controller is going to look like, so I can't tell you. I can only tell you for now that if you got a Ryzen and you buy yourself 8,000 RAM, you're a bloody idiot.
Yeah.
Well, you can't get it anyway. So like,
Well,
who the
yeah.
hell cares? That's pretty much moot. You know?
Mm,
And as you can see, this is all the stuff that I've done with my just with my 9800 X3D alone. With a 9950 X3D, with a 9950X I've got, I put over 1,000 hours into configuring that. Just messing about with it, seeing how I could get it to behave, and it took me 1,000 hours.
mm,
I mean, the fact that I can show you this in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, yeah, that's not a problem, right? Because
yeah.
I've spent there's thousands of hours actually doing it, as opposed to the YouTubers and the tech media who've spent a grand total of fuck all. And I mean, I've got to say it that way, fuck all over the past 6 years. They configure Ryzen as if it was Intel, and then they pronounce it, oh, Ryzen is, yeah, it's not all that much better than fuck off. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sorry
AMD
about
dip this
that.
and AMD dip that, yet no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean Captain Chucklefuck? Yeah,
Yes. He
we
still goes on
we
about
we
it now and then.
we, we won't mention who that is, will we? Will we, Ivan? We won't mention that. We won't mention who Captain Chucklefuck is, will we, Ivan?
Cat chasers, yeah. Mm.
And then you've got the likes of what's his face, Scatterbencher, who is basically a one-trick pony. All he's got is ECLK, and apart from that, he just configures Ryzen as if it was bloody Intel.
That's
You
right.
know? And even with his ECLK, he has still not ever managed to beat what I can get out of the Ryzen. It doesn't matter if it was Ryzen 3950X, 5950X, 7950X, 9950X. Even with his ECLK overclocking, I can still beat it.
Mm. We can't trust everybody on the internet. That's the problem.
But I'll give Scatterbencher his due. He does show his homework. I respect people who show their homework.
Mm.
I might speak a bit disparagingly of them because they just basically haven't bothered to learn anything in the past 6 years. But he does show his homework and he does put in the effort. I respect Billzoid. He does show his homework. He does put in the effort. I respect him for that. I think he's wrong in minutes, especially when he says, "Who the hell uses Prime 95 as a stress test?" I mean, for God's sake, do you really want to configure your system to run Prime 95 or Y Cruncher? No, because none of the other stuff that you will ever want to do with your PC comes close to the workload. So why are you configuring it for that and then throwing away hundreds of megahertz worth of performance?
That's right. Yeah.
You configure for the performance you need, and for the performance that you need, Cinebench R23 is about your worst case scenario. Because when you're compiling shaders puts on a bit more of a workload than Cinebench 2024, but it doesn't put on quite as high a workload as Cinebench R23. So if you've configured your system to run Cinebench R23, 10 minutes, half an hour, no crashes, then you can play every game as long as you want. And for normal usage, if you want to do video editing, what have you, if you've configured it for Cinebench R23, it will run. It will do the job without crashing.
There's no point putting on wet tires if we're driving in the dry.
Yeah, exactly. Or putting spikes, tires.
Put chains on, yeah. Oh dear.
I've actually done that. Chains and spike tires. Okay, so anyway, as you can see, 9950 X3D2, not a waste of time, not if you configure it properly, and that's the way you configure it properly. Just turn off SMT. That's it. And then you can configure it up to 5.6 gigahertz, no problem. And you can game at 5.6 gigahertz, and you'll be happy.
With good temps as well. Yep.
With great temps.
Great temps. Thank you, Michael. I will put
Oh.
your white papers in the link and description.
Yeah, I'm
And
just
then-
going to. I'm just going to. Well, you'll need to post the video first, so that I can write a post about it, Reddit post about it, and then link to your video, and that way they have the best of both worlds.
Yeah. All right. I shall talk to you after then. And thanks for spending the time with us. And yeah, good job like usual.
Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye-bye.